Captain Varys and his Adosian salvage crew were absolutely floored when their ship's scanners detected the massive technological marvel drifting lifeless at the edge of Adosian space, an ancient derelict human spacecraft from the mythical era of Earth's early stellar conquests. The discovery of the 3.7-kilometer-long Supercarrier, which the hull markings identified as the USS Intrepid, promised to upend the balance of power in a decades-long Cold War that the Adosian Republic was on the verge of losing. Upon docking with the awe-inspiring vessel, which dwarfed any current warship, Varys and his crew were stunned to find the interior in pristine condition and packed with technology far more advanced than anything the Kelnak or Adosians had ever developed. Self-repairing bulkheads, plasma cannons that made Kelnak disruptors look like children's toys, quantum-entangled long-range communications. If the Adosian military could unlock the Intrepid's secrets, it would mean not just a fighting chance, but a credible deterrent against Kelnak aggression. Varys immediately contacted Adosian High Command. Within hours, Walter Thomas, Earth's preeminent expert on lost human spacefaring technology, was dispatched to lead the effort to reverse engineer the Intrepid's capabilities. For Walter, it was the opportunity of a lifetime, a chance to resurrect the crowning jewel of humanity's first foray to the stars. But he also knew the stakes. If the Kelnak managed to capture the ship or its tech first, they would wield a terrifying first-strike weapon, capable of crushing what remained of Adosian resistance and sending humanity back to the dark ages of pre-spaceflight oppression. As Walter raced to the remote space dock housing the Intrepid, he couldn't help but ponder the vessel's mysterious past. How had such a formidable craft ended up abandoned on the galactic frontier? Where was the crew? And what kind of calamity could have compelled them to leave their mighty ship derelict in deep space? The answers, he feared, might be far more dangerous than the questions. Walter raced onto the Intrepid, his heart pounding with excitement and trepidation. He couldn't believe he was actually setting foot on this legendary ship, a relic from the height of Earth's interstellar dominion. Captain Varys and the Adosian science team were already hard at work, poring over consoles and examining the sleek, otherworldly technology that seemed to defy explanation. As Walter delved into the ship's systems alongside the Adosians, his astonishment only grew. The power source was like nothing he had ever seen, an exotic matter reactor that seemed to tap into the very fabric of space-time itself, drawing limitless energy from an unknown dimension. It made the most advanced Adosian and Kelnak power plants look like crude steam engines in comparison. But their awe was short-lived. In their eagerness to uncover the Intrepid's secrets, someone triggered a hidden fail-safe protocol. Alarms blared and warning lights flashed as the mighty ship shuddered to life, its engines powering up with an ominous hum. The docking clamps never stood a chance. The Intrepid tore free like a beast breaking its chains, sending debris and startled crew members tumbling through the zero-G environment. "We have to get to the bridge," Walter shouted over the chaos. "It's the only way to regain control." He and Varys fought their way through the ship, dodging haywire security drones that saw their Adosian biology as a threat. Pulse rounds zinged past their heads and sizzled against bulkheads as they leapt and dashed through the labyrinthine corridors. By the time they reached the command deck, their pressure suits were scorched and sweat-soaked. Walter practically threw himself into the captain's chair, his hands flying over the unfamiliar controls. To his surprise, the ship's AI immediately responded, its mellifluous voice filling the bridge. "Welcome aboard, Acting Captain Thomas. You are now the ranking human officer. How may I assist you?" As the AI explained the Intrepid's history, a secret prototype ship sent on a deep space mission, only to be crippled by some unknown cataclysm and cast adrift, Walter felt a chill run down his spine. What kind of disaster could have struck Earth itself so many decades ago? And why had no one ever known the truth until now? His musings were abruptly interrupted by a harsh klaxon and flashing red lights. "Warning, multiple Kelnak warships detected on intercept course. ETA, 15 minutes. Walter's eyes locked with Varys. There was no time to escape, No time to finish unlocking the Intrepid's full potential. They would have to fight with what they had and pray it was enough. The bridge became a hive of activity as the recently arrived Adosians slid into duty stations. Some still bore cuts and bruises from their flight through the Intrepid's corridors. Walter keyed the ship-wide comm. "All hands, this is Acting Captain Thomas. Hostile forces are en route. Designation Kelnanak. Battle stations. This is not a drill. I repeat, battle stations." He turned to Varys, his expression resolute. "Captain, I need you on tactical. You're the expert on ship-to-ship combat. I'll handle the Intrepid systems with Ava's help." The Adosian nodded, his tail twitching with a mix of anticipation and nerves as he brought the ship's impressive array of armaments online. "Ava, can you compensate for any crew shortfalls?" Walter asked, his fingers dancing across the helm controls as he maneuvered the massive vessel into a defensive posture. "Affirmative, Captain," the AI replied crisply. "I am assuming control of unmanned stations and coordinating autonomous repair systems, shield strength at 80% and climbing." The first Kelnak battlecruiser burst into view, its spinal railgun already glowing with an ugly red charge. Varys didn't hesitate. A searing lance of white-blue energy erupted from the Intrepid's phase cannon, spearing the enemy ship from prow to stern. Its aft section vaporized instantly, the remaining hull cartwheeling away in a spray of molten metal. For a moment, there was stunned silence on both sides. Then the remaining Kelnak ships surged forward, disruptor batteries hammering at the Intrepid's shields while boarding shuttles laden with Marines peeled off to find breaches in the human ship's defenses. Despite the withering firepower pounding their shields and the unfamiliar systems at their fingertips, Walter and the Adosians slowly hit their stride. Varys's tactical genius and the Intrepid's raw technological might turned the tide, enemy vessels crumpling under lances of phase energy and withering volleys from the ship's point defense array. But the Kelnak were relentless, and they clearly recognized the threat the Intrepid posed. More ships arrived every minute, and the dreadnought's overtaxed shields finally failed with a tortured crackle of feedback. In the flickering light of the bridge, Walter exchanged a desperate glance with Varys. They were hopelessly outgunned now. It was time for a last-ditch gamble. "Ava, channel all power from the exotic reactor into the jump drive. Get us out of here, anywhere but here." The deck plates shuddered and the entire ship groaned as unimaginable energies poured through alien circuits. In a blinding flash, the Intrepid vanished from the battlefield. The Intrepid shuddered as it decelerated from its emergency jump, materializing in an unfamiliar star system. Sparks showered from damaged consoles on the bridge. Walter gripped the command chair, his fist clenched. "Damage report," he barked. Ava's voice echoed through the command deck. "Hull integrity at 72%, shields offline, weapons systems at 40% capacity, multiple hull breaches on decks 3 through 7, emergency force fields holding." Walter turned to Varys. "Casualties?" The Adosian's tail twitched as he consulted a data pad. 17 dead, 32 wounded. Med bay is overwhelmed. "We need to regroup," Walter said. "Ava, where are we?" A holographic star map flickered to life. "We've emerged in the Zyroth cluster, an unmapped region approximately 700 light-years from our previous position." Walter nodded. "At least we've bought ourselves some time. Varys, coordinate repair teams. I want a full inventory of our munitions and supplies." As the crew scrambled to assess their situation, Walter paced the bridge. The adrenaline of battle faded, replaced by the weight of command. He'd saved the Intrepid from immediate destruction, but what now? Hours later, Walter convened a strategy session with Varys and Ava in the captain's ready room. "The Kelnak won't give up," Walter said. "We can't stay here forever." Varys leaned forward. "We should make for Adosian space immediately. Transfer control of the Intrepid to our fleet. It's our only chance against the Kelnanak." Walter shook his head. "And how many ships does your fleet have left? Do you have the manpower to crew a vessel like this?" Varys's shoulders slumped. "Our outer colonies have fallen. We've been pushed back to our core worlds. The Kelnak outnumber us 10 to 1. If we hand over the Intrepid now, it'll be overwhelmed before it can make a difference, Walter argued. We need to find more allies, more resources. You speak of your own people, Varys said, his voice rising. But where are they? The Adocians have bled for you, died for you. We need the Intrepid now, not in some hypothetical future. Walter banged his head on the table. And how many times have alien races squandered Earth's legacy? This ship, this technology. It needs to be wielded by those who truly understand it. The argument might have continued, but Ava's calm voice cut through the tension. Captains, I'm detecting an anomalous signal. Origin, a moon in this system. A hollow display materialized, showing strings of code. Walter's eyes widened. Those are Earth protocols, old ones. He input a series of commands and a message purposed itself. To all human assets. Activation protocol. Phoenix Rising initiated. Rendezvous at provided coordinates. The future of humanity awaits. Walter's heart raced. It's a fail-safe. A contingency plan from Earth's golden age. Varys growled. You can't seriously be considering this. It could be a trap. But Walter was already moving to the communications array. His fingers flew over the console as he input a coded response. What are you doing? Varys demanded. Walter turned, his eyes blazing with grit. Taking a chance. To rebuild what was lost. To create a force that can truly stand against the Kelnanak. As the signal pulsed out into the void, neither of them noticed the blip on the long-range sensors. A cloaked Kelnak vessel, silent and deadly, altered course to intercept. The hunt for the Intrepid had begun anew. Walter's hands flew over the Intrepid's controls, guiding the massive ship towards the coordinates of the mysterious signal. The barren moon loomed ahead, its cratered surface revealing no signs of life or civilization. Varys, I need you to lead a security team, Walter said as they touched down. We don't know what we're walking into here. The Adocian nodded, his tail twitching with anticipation. Understood. We'll keep you covered. Walter stepped out onto the dusty surface, Ava's holographic form flickering beside him. They trudged across the desolate landscape, scanners searching for any sign of the signal's source. There, Ava said, pointing to a rocky outcropping. I'm detecting faint energy signatures. As they approached, a section of rock slid away, revealing a hidden entrance. Walter exchanged a glance with Varys before stepping inside. The facility was a time capsule, pristine and untouched for millennia. As they ventured deeper, Walter gasped. Row upon row of cryogenic pods lined the walls, each containing a human form. A hiss of escaping air filled the chamber as one pod began to open. A man with graying hair and a neatly trimmed beard emerged, blinking in the dim light. I am Dr. Yuri Volkov, he said, his voice raspy from disuse. You've activated the failsafe. Are you human? Walter nodded, stunned. I'm Walter Thomas. We found your signal by chance. What is this place? Volkov explained about the Exodus event, the devastation of Earth, and the sleeper ship sent out as humanity's last hope. The Intrepid, Volkov breathed, his eyes wide as Walter described their vessel. We thought it was just a legend. Walter filled Volkov in on the current state of the galaxy, the Adocian-Kelnak War, the rediscovery of the Intrepid, and the opportunity it presented. With your knowledge and our ship, we could bring humanity back to the galactic stage, Walter urged. Volkov hesitated, stroking his beard. It's too soon. We're not ready for... He was cut off by Ava's urgent voice. Multiple Kelnak vessels detected on approach. They've tracked us here. Walter cursed. They must have picked up our transmissions. We need to move now. He turned to Volkov. We don't have time to debate. Come with us or be captured by the Kelnak. Volkov nodded grimly. Initiate evacuation protocols and activate the self-destruct sequence. Chaos erupted as they raced to save as many colonists and materials as possible. Walter barked orders to Varys over the comm while helping Volkov and key personnel into an armored shuttle. The ground shook as Kelnanak dropships landed outside. Walter sprinted for the Intrepid's bridge as Volkov's shuttle lifted off, "Ava, give me everything you've got!" Walter shouted as he threw himself into the captain's chair. The Intrepid's weapons blazed to life, providing covering fire for the escaping shuttle. Walter gritted his teeth as he pushed the massive ship to its limits, shields straining under the Kelnak onslaught. With a final burst of acceleration, they punched through the enemy blockade. Walter allowed himself a moment of relief as they jumped to safety, leaving the doomed moon behind. As the adrenaline faded, Walter turned to face Volkov and the other newly awakened humans. Their eyes were filled with a mix of fear and persistence. "Welcome back to the galaxy," Walter said. "It's time for humanity to make its mark once again." Little did they know, on a distant Kelnanak command ship, High Lord Kex received the report of living humans with cold fury. The hunt for the Intrepid had just become personal. The deck beneath Walter's feet shuddered as the Intrepid decelerated from its emergency jump. Sparks cascaded from overloaded consoles, filling the air with the acrid smell of burnt circuitry. He gripped the command chair, nucleus tightening, as the ship groaned around him. "Status report," Walter barked, his voice hoarse from shouting orders. Ava's holographic form flickered into view, her expression grim. Hull integrity at 43%, multiple breaches on decks 4 through 12. Life support systems critically damaged in sections 17 through 23. Walter turned to Dr. Volkov, who stood rigidly beside him, face ashen. "How many did we get out?" Volkov consulted a data pad, his hands trembling. 812 colonists accounted for. We lost nearly half in the evacuation." Before Walter could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. Ava's eyes widened. Multiple Kelnak signatures detected a massive fleet closing fast. Walter's stomach dropped. He'd hoped the blind jump would buy them more time. On the main view screen, a swarm of hostile vessels materialized, their angular hulls dripping with weaponry. "It's Kex," Volkov whispered, fear evident in his voice. "The Kelnak Supreme Commander. He's leading the assault personally." The bridge erupted into chaos as the first salvo of enemy fire slammed into the Intrepid's weakened shields. Walter shouted orders, coordinating what remained of their defenses, but it was clear they were hopelessly outgunned. "We can't win this fight," Varys growled, his tail lashing in agitation. "We need to run." Walter shook his head. "And go where? They'll hunt us to the ends of the galaxy." Volkov stepped forward, his eyes blazing with sudden intensity. "The Adocian Republic. It's our only chance." "You can't be serious," Varys snarled. "We barely escaped their territory alive." "We have no choice," Walter cut in, making a snap decision. "Dr. Volkov, transmit the Intrepid's reactor schematics to the Adocian shipyards. Varys, get me a secure channel to your Grand Admiral." As Volkov worked feverishly at a nearby console, Walter addressed the Adocian leader. He spoke quickly, outlining their desperate situation and offering an unprecedented technological exchange. The Grand Admiral's holographic visage flickered, his expression unreadable. After a tense moment, he nodded. "Very well, human. We will rendezvous with your vessel and provide escort. But know this, if you betray us, the Kelnanak will be the least of your worries." The communication cut out as another blast rocked the ship. Walter turned to Ava. "How long until we can jump again?" "Transwarp drive charging, 5 minutes to full power." Walter gritted his teeth. "We don't have 5 minutes. Divert all non-essential power. We need to buy time." The next few minutes were a blur of frantic action. The Intrepid's weapons blazed, holding off waves of Kelnak fighters. But for every enemy they destroyed, 2 more took its place. Suddenly, Varys's voice cut through the din. "Walter, we've lost containment in Section 12. The fusion warheads. They're going critical." Walter's blood ran cold. He locked eyes with Varys, seeing the grim acceptance in the Adocian's face. "Go," Varys said softly. "I'll stay behind. Use the warheads to cover your escape." "Varys, no," Walter protested, but the Adocian was already moving. "My people need what you carry more than they need me," Varys called over his shoulder. "Now go, save our future." With a heavy heart, Walter gave the order. As the transwarp drive hummed to life, he watched Varys disappear into the bowels of the ship. Moments later, a blinding flash filled the view screen as the Adosian captain made his final stand. The Intrepid lurched, catapulted into transwarp. As the stars blurred around them, Walter slumped in his chair, the weight of command pressing down on him. They had survived, barely. But at what cost? And what fresh challenges awaited them in Adosian space? He gazed at the worried faces of his crew, human and Adosian alike. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The rebirth of humanity had begun, but the true test still lay ahead.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.